Like this one is okay, right? Hello guys, how are you? How are you? Good afternoon. My name is Namo. I'm not Japanese, I'm Korean. And I'm senior migration agent at Soredo Migration. So it's already August, right? So usually around this time, Department of Home Affairs announce many different new things. That's why we actually plan to provide you the update session based on the new announcement. But this year is keep delaying. But luckily, since last week, we got some new updates. Even yesterday, we got updates about the English requirement for the specific visas. So today, I mainly focus on about the current trend about the migration policy and how you can well prepare your permanent visa outcome. So I will explain you about the current migration strategy that the Department of Home Affairs is placing for the international students, and then how the migration reform is going on. And also I give you a brief update for new financial year that just in case for Australia, the financial year always starts from July to June. So every announcement about from the government is based on the financial year. So from my personal experience in my home country, South Korea, the financial year always starts from January to December. So it's quite different. So that's why around the July to August, we see the many different news from the department. But this year, they actually not introducing many, but still we have some updates, so I can share with you guys. And number 4, that is migration key point. And from my side, what's gonna be more important for the future process. So I will explain you about what you have to prepare and then how you can be ready for the migration outcome. And then we may have a Q&A session, and then just followed by my personal presentation. We actually luckily invite the Tasmania tape staff to be here and then explain you more about the information about Tasmania. The reason why actually we invite the Tasmania at the late stage is it's very clear that government will emphasize about the regional area on their migration program. It's already announced several times. And then last year we see all the state nomination and skilled visa processing is quite slow in major cities. However, in regional cities like Tasmania and Perth, something like that, they still has a very good outcomes compared to the big cities. So it's a really good opportunity. You guys have at least the information about the Tasmania. And then from my side, from my history, the 100% outcome is approved and then achieved in Tasmania. So I have many Korean students, Japanese students, Latin American students, and Chinese students, and Taiwanese, Hong Kong students. They decide to Tasmania means they actually, maybe it's a little bit different how long does it take to get the PR, but 100% of our students who move to the Tasmania actually achieved a very good outcome. So I think it's very important you guys at least know about the Tasmania option for your future. So let's start first. Migration strategy. This is about how government gonna be changed. So maybe if I met you guys in 2021, like right after COVID or early 2022, then I'm very confident that you can get a permanent residence in Australia with any study. This is because right after COVID, Australia government and people in Australia realized that they need people from overseas. That's why there are lots of jobs in demand, and then there are lots of skill shortage. So that's why in my entire 15 years in this industry, it was the greatest time that I actually have a permanent visa approval for my client in 2 years, which is 2022, 2023. But from the 11th of December 2023, government start to announce new different things. They actually having a lot of international students or temporary visa holders from New Zealand or from all over the world, and then they realize there are too many international workers and students in Australia. So they start to blame housing problem, infrastructure, and quality of education, everything they start to blame to the international students. Then the situation shift dramatically. So right before this one, government actually tried to promote Australian education because they need people. They need people to work for the Australia. But they realize it's too much. So they suddenly, and they start to change their policy. So the first paper is actually released from the December 2023. And then they are explain about they will have a review process for the current migration policy because they find out blah, 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 blah problem. And then they believe with migration reform, they can have a sustainable growth for the international people, and then they meet the economic demand as well. So lots of papers keep coming up, and then to summarize, there are 8 key actions they actually introduced from the many different papers. But to summarize for you, they actually try to reduce the people in Australia from the overseas. That's the first thing. And second thing, they want to bring more skilled people. The skilled people means who has a good experience and who has a better English skill. And also, they want to boost regional Australia, and they want to recover the regional Australia economy through the migration program. So those are the key issues for this paper, and I'll explain one by one from you guys. So from there, like a lot of review process, but lucky thing is they actually announced a new visa program we call the Skilled in Demand visa, which is the most popular visa for the international students at this stage. And I'm so busy because of this visa service. So previously, if international students want to get the employer sponsor visa, they need the right qualification and at least 2 years experience. But when they introduced this new visa, they actually changed the work experience requirement from 2 to 1. So to be eligible to apply this visa, they only require the qualification and 1 year experience. So from previous slide, I said government tried to reduce the international number and temporary visa holders. But new visa actually become easy to stay in Australia because they reduce the requirement, especially for the experience requirement from 2 to 1. So that's why they actually bring many negative effects now. So that's why now government cannot release new things because they see the number from this visa has been increased a lot, but they have only certain number for the permanent resident. But in Australia, do you know, more than 30K these visa holders are in Australia at the moment. So government cannot give all the permanent visa for these people. So that's why they keep review and try to find a way to accommodate their visa application. But anyway, it's a good opportunity for you guys. Very easy. Right qualification with your occupation and 1 year experience. But for the core skills pathway, which is the mainstream for the SID visa, has a very high salary requirement, which is around 76K, 555. So the salary become very important factor when you apply Australia employer sponsor visa. And then this salary limitation is continuously grow So previously, they start with 70K, 70,000 annual salary, but now again, it becomes 76,555 annual salary. Even though they change, overall Australia salary remuneration package is increased dramatically as well. So that's why we still have a lot of application from our students who graduate and they're having a 1-year experience and then sponsored by the employer. So still, even today, this visa is the most popular visa in Australia for the international students. And then I want to emphasize one more thing for the SID visa. Actually, government see the many negative things for the previous employer sponsor visa, which is the same for A2, but we call the TSS visa. Under the TSS visa, if employer doesn't give the permanent visa option, they cannot apply the permanent visa. But under the SID visa, then employee still can find another employer and can apply employer sponsor visa, permanent visa. And then previously, if they change the employer and then all the experience they work for previous employer, they cannot claim. But now, even though they change the employer, it's okay. All the experience they claim, they actually had with the previous employer still can claim. So it's easy. With this visa and 2 years more experience with the employer, then we can apply employer permanent visa. So it's called the ENS 186 visa. So that's why the government actually see what's the negative things from the previous visa. And then they actually reform and introduce a new visa. And many things they are mentioned on the paper, but they already guaranteed, they already implemented the 2 things. But still many new things will coming up for this visa. So this visa will give you a lot of opportunities. So, but again, this visa still requires the right qualification and 1 year full-time equivalent experience. And the salary is getting increased, but at this stage is 76,555 Australian dollars for the annual salary. And the other action plan that government is doing is about the regional area. Very important, to be honest. Seriously, I really want you guys to understand about how regional area give you the benefit. It's very important. Now, look at the last year. You see the skilled visa, invitation round. No, nothing happened, to be honest. And there are a lot of nurses from many different countries. They achieve permanent visa easily right after COVID. But I don't think since last year, or even since 2024, because government actually issued the invitation with very demanding occupation, only with very small number. Let's talk about the state nomination. What happened in Queensland? I don't see many the invitation from the Queensland government. So, but what about the regional state government? They had I can't say it's enough, but compared to the major city, they actually allocated for the good amount of the allocation for the state nomination. So regional area actually bring lots of benefits. So I really want you guys to understand that part. But before we talking about the regional area benefit, that you may see how the regional area, the policy is changing. So before the 2018, right before the COVID, the regional area wasn't really attractive for the students, to be honest. But 2018, Australian government made a big announcement about the regional area. So they actually firstly announced the regional area that most location in Australia, except Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Perth. However, there are lots of maybe negotiation behind or complaint behind. Finally, they actually made a new announcement. And then now, even until now, in Australia, for the migration purpose, regional area is all the location in Australia except Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney. You may be surprised that just a 20 minutes or 30 minutes away from here, that like a Jindali or around the Brisbane suburb, they are actually belong to the regional area. So the regional area is not really very regional area. So you can easily find many close regional area as well. Also, Tasmania, South Australia, and Western Australia, Northern Territory, entire territory and state are belong to the regional area, which provides great opportunity for the international student and study and find a job and get a state nomination or employer sponsor visa as well. And when they announced the new regional area definition, they also announced the two new visas. The first one is a regional employer sponsor visa, and second one is a regional skilled visa. So when actually as an expert, when I check the detail of the 491 regional state nominated visa, then I realized that, Australia government actually opened up the door for the international students. It's amazing visa and policy. But it is only available for the people work, live in regional Australia. So this regional area, that if you haven't started your study yet, then maybe consider your destination with the regional area. It brings a lot of opportunities. Apart from those two visa options, I will explain later one more time about what regional area give you the benefit. And then government also announced that they will change the point test contents, but they hasn't implemented it yet. They haven't implemented it yet, but I believe in this financial year, they will announce a new point test system. But again, it's not actually implemented yet. Also, student visa, as many of you guys know, it's become very tough. Now, the visa application fee, do you know how much it is? It's crazy, right? $2,000 is the most expensive visa application fee in the world. And then we see the quite huge drop for the application number, especially from the outside of the Australia. However, government is actually celebrating. They actually meet their target number by increasing application fee and increase refusal rate. So I think you may heard that some of your friends got a student visa refused. Lots of visa was refused. Lots of visa was refused. It was a tough time for us as well. But luckily, since end of last year and beginning of this year, visa grant rate is getting better because they reached certain target already, and then they start to control the well-controlled number because of the visa application fee. It was 1,600 even last year, right? It was so expensive. So we can see the many grant instead of refusal. But again, they look at the many different things. They look at the finance. They look at the English skill. They look at your temporary visa history in Australia as well. So if you are in second, third working holiday visa, it doesn't mean that you will get refused, but you have to be very careful to prepare your visa application. It becomes very tough. And graduate visa, they actually reduced the graduate visa duration back to normal. Means during the COVID, they actually need more people, so that's why giving longer graduate visa. So maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But now they actually change. They just back to normal. Then it's 1.5 years for the vocational course and 2 years for the higher education course. So in terms of student visa grant and then graduation visa opportunity, we see the statistic from the government, and ELICOS, English study or vocational study number dropped a lot. For higher education, university study, the grant number and then student number actually still increasing. So many people think, English study and the vocational is a little bit tough, then they are shifting to the higher education and take a more longer graduate visa to prepare their permanent visa. So graduate visa is very important, but make sure if you are not yet started your study for the in Australia, then graduate visa English requirement now changed to the 6.5. So it happened last year, but we see around 30% of our students actually struggling about the English requirement, because 6.0 and 6.5 is quite different. So it's very critical now. So again, entering university, entering TAFE, entering college is not important. The more important thing is with the proper English skill, then you can have a better or other visa option at the end. English become very important now. But to be honest, when I come here, they get a counseling about my permanent visa option. My counselor also said English is very important. So English is always important. And then now it's more important than before. So based on this reform and changes in this year, what happened so far? They only have 1 month and then 1.5 months, right? That is almost the beginning of August. Then, but good news anyway, they increased the quota for the international students number for next year. I mean, started, it's from the July. So we expect better visa grant rate. We expect better visa grant rate. And then students from Southeast Asia, like Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, and those regions that government announced that they will prioritize and they will give a better chance for those students from those countries. This is because Australia, to be honest, a lot of international students from the certain country. So that's why they want to diversify. That's their actually strength. And then that's the way they can increase the quality of education. So that's why they already implement the Southeast Asia application. And I believe, I don't know how many people in here, but you will have some benefit about the visa. And the English test yesterday announced and started from today. Many international students are actually preparing their permanent visa or other like a study option through the PTE, right? PT test. But PT is also from today maybe, right? The structure has been changed. At the same time, government also changed the English score requirement. But nothing changed for the IELTS. However, PT score has been changed a lot. So even I can't remember anything. I mean, they have all different requirements for the each section, like reading, listening, speaking, right? So let's say for the IELTS 7 equivalent, previously we had PT 65 each section. But now PT listening and reading 58, 59, but writing 69, even higher than previous, right? And 67, 76 for the speaking. So, and also new PT module emphasize importance of speaking as well. So they include a lot of discussion related summary, and the speaking skill become very important. So I believe certain countries that has a good skill for the reading and grammar and writing, they may have some more trouble to getting the better score. So English already started from today. So the people who already have a PT test until yesterday, they are actually follow the previous rule. But the students who take the exam from today will take the new requirement. We follow the new requirement. So if you already have, that's okay. But except the graduate visa, all other migration-related visa, except the students and graduate visa, but skilled visa, employer-sponsor visa, the validity of the English test is 3 years. So if you already have a good result, you don't need to worry about for 3 years. So that's the things, only 2 things at the moment they announced. But again, I can see the reason behind why government cannot release the new announcement now, because they are struggling now. They cannot control the number, and they can't find the number. They can't find the way to control the number now. So they already allocated a certain number for the permanent visa, but on their hand, they have a lot of application already. So how they control. So that's why they taking more and more time to allocate the quota for each state and then each visas. So I expect the end of August, they may announce the new quota for each state nomination or new quota for the employer sponsor visa, blah, blah, blah. So if it happens, we'll have another seminar or we'll make a summary and then post on our Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. So English, again, that since 2010, then when I really look into the permanent visa option, that at that time, my company, another counselor, advised me, oh, if you look into the permanent visa option, English is the way. Then I look at my entire migration agent journey. Then whenever new policy coming up and change, government always announce the English skill. They really actually put very high value when they assessing the skills of the applicants. Then they actually look at the English skill. So again, graduate visa become very high English requirement, which means many of our students enter the university, enter the TAFE, and enter the college through the many different pathways, but at the end, they couldn't reach to the English test score for applying 485 graduate visa. So it's very important you to early prepare and be ready for those applications. But graduate visa, the English test score validity is only 1 year. But what I mean is not asking you to take all the tests every single time, but always make sure English is the very important factor when you get into the PR later. And now student visa English requirement and graduate visa English requirement has been changed, and then PT structure changed. Based on PT structure, requirement has been changed from today, right? Then what happened? There are lots of other English test related or English score related announcement can be implemented for the future migration policy. And the other one is job. So many different papers that are introduced at the early stage, they commonly say skilled graduate. And they will actually offer migration pathway for the in-demand occupation and graduate in-demand occupation field with current Australian job. So look at the last year, what happened? Engineering or renewable energy or construction related occupation who are working in Australia, they got a good number of invitation. Quantity surveyor, and then carpenter, painter, tiler, and civil engineering draft person, and the engineers, environmental engineer, environmental consultant, those key area related occupation with the job, they got a really great outcome last year. And then I believe it will be continuously operating the same way. And then last year, maybe if you are interested about the Australian migration policy, Victoria and Queensland introduced a new criteria for the assessing their application, which is annual salary. So when we register our interest, we have to mention that my current job and annual salary. So last year, even though less point, but higher salary, received the invitation. So the job from your student visa, the job, and then keep developing your skills in the job is very important. It's very important. And again, I want to emphasize one more time about the regional area. Then what kind of benefits that you can have is if you complete the study and living in the regional area during your study and then continuously stay and working and living in regional area, you can have a 1 to 2 years graduate visa extension opportunity, which is really big. And then we have a separate 2 new visas, no longer new visa, but new visas only target to the regional area. And you can have an extra point for migration test. And then if migration point test is changed, then I believe they will award more point for the regional area. I believe, seriously. And then there are lots of DAMA, regional area employer sponsor agreement is available at the moment. And for the 491 visa, if they get the nomination for the regional state nomination, they can add 15 points on their point test. They can increase the point. And also, government announced they will prioritize all the applications who are in regional area. So even partner visa, which is not related with the student, but I can see the partner visa application is very fast if they are living in regional area. In the recent case, the employer sponsor permanent visa, I had a Kansas case that has 3 months, but I had many Brisbane case, it's now 1.5 years. Different, the processing time. So regional area is very important. So that's why you guys stay here and then have more information about the Tasmania. Tasmania will provide you good opportunity. So today, this is my presentation, but after Tasmania, I'll be come back here and then get some Q&A session with you guys as well. And again, after all the things that we still have a lot of things outside, that we offer many different benefits for you guys if you decide to study. So hope you guys enjoy. Thank you.
I relocated to Tasmania. By now, I've been living in Tasmania for 7 years. So when the first time my consultant told me, like, Nika, you probably need to consider Tasmania, I was like, Tasmania, like, but after I actually moved to there, of course, I believe you guys also heard a lot of things about Tasmania, but partially may true, partially may not true. So I actually got a very small present over here. It's a Tasmania echidna. It's like a very unique like animal over here, very cute. So I'm gonna ask one question. I will give the gift to you, like whoever raised the hand first. What do you heard about Tasmania? Have you ever heard anything about Tasmania? I need good things and bad things. Have you ever heard anything about Tasmania? No matter that's good or not. Go ahead.
I heard about Tasmania and it's a little bit bored because it's a little bit far from Australia and the weather is really, really cold.
Oh, okay. Anything else? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything else? Have you?
Also, the last presentation say about it's more easy to get a PR there.
Yes, yeah.
It's a really regional area there.
Yeah, we do have quite a friendly migration policy, but I think that's there our migration AMARA agents expertise, but that's actually true, but that's partially true. So today I actually bring a little bit information about Tasmania to clear your thought about Tasmania is very difficult to get a job. Tasmania is very boring. Those are true or not. So today So we normally say that Tasmania is actually a path less crowded. I do encourage the student do not follow other people's paths. Sometimes you need to choose a path like which is suitable for you. So some path is popular, is easy for you to stay here, to stay in a big state. It's easy for everyone. So when you apply for something, you will get a lot of competition. So Tasmania, we normally say that's a path less crowded, which means you will have a less competition. So I bring a few pictures in Tasmania. You probably can see if you never traveled to Tasmania before. So you can see we're very beautiful. One of the key things about Tasmania for anyone who's concerned about their English, so in Tasmania, we still maintain very authentic English environment because that's true. We have a very limited numbers of migrants. So when you move to Tasmania, you need to use English basically every single day. You need to use English inside the class and outside the class because you may not have a lot of people come from the same country with you. So your English basically improves super fast in no time. This is what we observed. We have a lot of Vietnamese students, like Korean students, Japanese, Latino students. They actually can pick up the language very fast. We all know we need to get a job. Like without a good language level, getting a job is not possible, right? So Tasmania really give you this environment to pick up the language very fast. Of course, we also have a quite low living cost, I would say. So like the gentleman said, it's a little bit boring compared to the big state because we don't have a lot of entertainment. But for majority of the people, we go to school, we study, and we go to work, and then we come back home. So the life is quite, I would say, straightforward and chill in Tasmania. You can save a lot of money. Actually, you don't need to keep buying things you don't actually need it. And another thing is about job. A lot of people worry about after I move to Tasmania, I'm not able to get a job because that's they heard from their friends. So I bring actually a data over here. Before you really decided, do you want to relocate to another place, you need to start looking for a new job. This is some data you need to know. So this is published earlier this year. So you can see on the top 5 industry in Tasmania. So in Tasmania, we have biggest healthcare industry. Every 5 Tasmanians have 1 people live with disability. So we need a lot of healthcare workers, like nurse, enrolled nurse, and also individual support workers. So except that, we have a very good booming industry in construction. So if you study engineering, so like a drafter person, being a drafter person, you can easily actually get a job in Tasmania. And another industry is education and training, so childcare. Teaching. So those are quite booming industry. And then another thing is like a top 10 occupations. So you can see the top 10 occupation is very easy to secure a job as well. One last thing about finding a job in Tasmania is a lot of students doesn't know about this. They still have the mindset for big city. I get my resume ready. I send out the resume online on Seek, on Indeed. So I'm waiting for someone call me back. It doesn't work in Tasmania. Tasmania, we have small industry. We have a very small community. So majority of the job vacancies, they will spread out by referrals. So what we suggest the student to do, after you move to Tasmania, the first thing is you need to start making friends and making networks. So TASTAFE, as the only one government TAFE over there, we actually can help the student build up a very good professional network because we can arrange the internship for the students. For some courses, we have like childcare, individual support. So those things can help you to get ready for the employment. So you can see nearly 40% of the jobs in Tasmania is actually published by word of mouth. Like you have to know someone. So this is the different mindset for people like in Tasmania to secure their jobs. And one thing, I think that's not my expertise, but that is a data, I bring that to here. So I would love to show you, I'm sorry. It's about migration. Yeah, so this is published data. If you can go to Migration Tasmania, you can see the data published in the beginning of May. before we close down this year's like a nomination. So you can see in this year, like Tasmania, we actually got a 2,100 seat for 190. But if you calculate all the occupations, we only have 2,166 applicants by July. So this is a kind of like we need to think of the ratio sometimes. So because we have a quite good number of the seat, but we have a limited applicants. So the ratio to getting the result will be much higher than other states. So this is basically about Tasmania. I know it's not easy to relocate to another place, right? You need to find a new house, you need to find a new job. But I do believe there will be some students are smart enough to understand at this life stage what is the good choice for you. So in TAFE, the biggest like advantage for us because we are the government TAFE, of course we can guarantee the training quality. We provide a very good quality of training. And also like in Tasmania, because we have a quite a smaller community, we don't have like a big international, we don't have that much like a big international company. Majority of the company are medium size and smaller size. So we need someone who has practical skills. So for example, like if you study Master of IT, Master of Engineering, that will be a little bit difficult to get a job. So that's why we normally encourage the student, if you study IT, you study engineering, you study accounting, no one actually teach you how to use the software, you don't have a practical skill, so that will be hard to get a job. So come to TAFE, study 1 year, pick up some practical skills, you can easily secure a job. So in vocational education, not like higher education, I believe a majority of you guys enroll higher education, you study academic level. For vocational education, you study hands-on skills. So what actually the industry need you to have. This is what we're going to teach to the students, is a hands-on training. So another thing is, like I just mentioned, TAFE help you to build some local professional network to help you get job ready. And another thing is, of course, the language. So in TAFE, we don't have a separate class for international students. You study with Tassie students, so like you can pick up the culture and the language quite shortly. And one last thing, of course, like as a government provider, we have a lot of network with a local company and local employers. Once for a while, we will have some internal job opportunities, like referred by our trainer. So this is basically about TAFE. So I just quickly go through the courses because I have a table over there. So if you guys want to know more about Tasmania and TAFE, welcome to come to my table. We can have a conversation like specifically for your case. But like you can see, majority of the case, healthcare, like we have engineering course. Yeah, draft person, that's a quite a popular course as well. Hospitality. Oh, okay. Anyone didn't have a lunch today? I'm so sorry. I'm gonna tease you for a while. This is some like dishes, like we take the photos from the students' profile. In TAFE, we actually have our own restaurant, a Dressdale restaurant, and we also have a student accommodation for the student. Okay, so like a childcare course, and the last one is English course. So for anyone who newly moved to Tasmania, we can offer the student accommodation $220 per week, including all the bills. So it's a quite friendly for anyone newly arrived to Tasmania to help you to settle and get a good start. Okay, so my part is quite short, so I just show you a few pictures. Today we bring the VR goggle like outside, so you can use the VR goggle to see how Tasmania look like. So you won't feel that scared. We have McDonald's, don't worry about it. Like we have all the things you can think of because I've been living there for 7 years. Everything is fine. It's not that far. I traveled to here from Tasmania like only 2 hours. And also, like the gentleman said, like it is cold for a few months. Yeah, we do have a winter. We're snowing once for a while. But the life is so good and the Tasmanians are so friendly, much better than the big city. Okay then, so that's basically all my presentation. So if you have any question, feel free to contact your consultant and they will give you all the information about TASTAFE. Thank you. Okay, yeah, sure.
So as you guys see the nomination numbers for the Tasmania, that my actually saying that I said on the presentation is true, that all of our students who relocate to the Tasmania and then prepare the permanent resident, actually they have an invitation. This is purely because compared to the other state, their nomination allocated number is quite okay. Not really big, but still okay, but their competition is relatively low. So that's why they have a higher chance to get the invitation. So let's talk about the Queensland. What's the number for the last year? 600 for 190, 600 for the 491. So total 1,200 spot in Queensland. But Tasmania with a very small international student number, but they have nearly 3,000 numbers. And then one of our Korean students who's studying the TASTAFE for cookery, they complete the certificate for commercial cookery, and then while she's studying diploma, she already got a sponsor, and then already applied the sponsor visa with us as well, SID visa. So the employer also very supportive in Tasmania. So apart from this seminar or whatever for migration things, I'm here. So it's a Q&A session. So if you have any question or want to clarify anything, please let me know now. Yep. Any question, you guys? No, it's good, right? So again, the Tasmania, they actually brought the Google, right? Google, so you can experience about Tasmania today. And then we have a lot of things outside, so I really hope you guys enjoy. And anything need support, please let our staff know, then we can guide you. Thank you for joining.